You used to call me on my cell phone late night when you need my love. Call me on my cell phone.
I already moisturized my face using the Pond's Dry Skin Cream, since it is the dry weather season. For priming my face, I'm going to be using the Unique Glorious Face Eye Primer. I don't know if that's actually called that, but I just have a sample and that's what it says. This is the first time that I am trying this. So far this is like really smooth, and I can tell it's like really sticky. It's gonna make my makeup last a long time, at least that's what it feels like. Okay, next, as usual, I'm going to be using my L'Oreal True Match Lumi in the shade Warm. I'm just going to be pumping that onto my hand as usual and blending that out with a beauty blender. Just going to be twisting that up a little bit. Next, I'm going to be using my Maybelline Eraser Dark Circles Concealer in the shade Light Pale. But anyway, with my concealer, I'm just going into my regular places that I usually do. And since this is Valentine's, I'm going to be wearing a little bit more concealer than I would on a regular basis. I'm going to be using my Anastasia Brow Wiz in the shade Ebony, but I'm going to go off camera for this one. I have an in-depth contour routine on this NYX palette, but I am going to show kind of a quick thing today of like what I'm doing for this look. So I'm going to be starting off with this shade right here, and it is called Sculpt. This is the Sculpt shade, and I'm going to be using my angled brush. I am just lightly going along here. I kind of want to ombre this beautifully, so it's basically gonna go from like kind of a lighter and then darker up here. I'm gonna take that same shade and put it on my forehead, just the tops, mostly on these sides right here. And I'm also gonna take the same shade and go along my jaw to get that sharp jaw, girl. I'm also gonna put a little bit underneath my lip, right here, because this is gonna make my lip look a little bit bigger since my lips are slightly smaller. I'm going to be taking this dark shade, and it is the Hollow shade is what it's called, Hollow. And I'm also going to be taking one of these brushes. This is a Mary Kay brush, and I don't know exactly what it is, but it's just like a blending brush. So I'm taking the pigment and putting it right there, and right now it looks pretty dark. But obviously I'm going to blend that out. I'm going to sweep this off onto my hand. That way most of the product can be off, so now I can take this and blend it. Just gonna blend it up here to my forehead. Take a little bit along my jawline to darken that. Really make it sharp. I'm taking the Hollow shade, what's left, onto my brush, and I'm gonna do this, sweep it along right here. And that's particularly just for my face shape. If you want your face to be more defined and you have a square shaped face, then this would be good. As usual, I'm going to be going in with my Ice Queen highlighter, but I want to actually mix this with Toasted by e.l.f. And this is actually an eye color, but I found that it actually looks really good as a highlight. So I'm going to mix these two together. And to do that, I'm going to be using this brush right here, a little flat brush. Now to contour my nose, as usual, I'm going to be using Sculpt, the shade Sculpt in the NYX Pro Palette. Oh, and I'm also using just a regular small flat brush. Now I'm going to go in and blend that out with my Beauty Blender. Now I'm going to be using two blushes mixed together from the 72-piece Ulta Time to Shine kit that I got for Christmas. I'm going to be taking my angled brush and just mixing those two together, the peachy shade and kind of the dark rose. And be careful because these are super pigmented, so if you get too much onto your brush, you're going to basically be looking like one of those China dolls with a complete round thing. Obviously you could blend that out, but just to warn you. Okay, so that's everything for my face. Now I'm going to be moving on to the eyes. Normally I would go in and use an eyeshadow primer, but that was a face and eyeshadow primer, so I'm hoping that it's going to hold my shadow all night. First I'll be starting with my Too Faced chocolate bar palette, and I'm going to be starting off with the shade White Chocolate. And for this I'm just using my all over shadow brush from Sephora. Next I'm going to be taking my blending brush from the Urban Decay Smoky palette, and I'm still using my chocolate bar, and I'm going to be taking the shade Salted Caramel. Next I'll be taking the shade Semi Sweet, and I'm going to be using my pointed crease brush, C412 Deluxe, and it's by Crown. Next I'm going to be using the shade Amaretto, again from the chocolate palette. I'm going to be using my pointed crease brush again, and I'm going to be working that into the crease. As you know, I'm going to be doing a soft cut crease. Now moving on to darken up my crease, I'm going to be using the Naked Smoky palette by Urban Decay. I'm using the same pointed crease brush, and I'm just going to be dabbing it into my crease. And I'm going in with Black Market. Now I'm just taking my blending brush from the Urban Decay Smoky palette again with no product on here, and I'm just going to be blending all of the colors together. Next I'm going to be taking my Urban Decay Naked Smoky palette fluffy brush with no product on here, and I'm just going to be blending out all of the colors together, well, mainly the black. I'm going to be going in with the shade 13 from the Naked Smoky palette. I'm taking my small shadow brush, and I'm just going to be covering my lid to really make this cut crease pop. Now I'm going to be going in with the shade High, again with the Naked Smoky palette. I'm going to be again using my small shadow brush for this, and I'm going to be putting this on the center of my lids and in the inner corner. I'm going to be coming back in with the Too Faced chocolate palette, and I'm going to be using the shade Amaretto again, just to kind of confirm the purple in the crease. And again, I'm using my pointed crown crease brush. And just for a little bit of a highlight right under my eyebrows, I'm gonna be using Champagne Truffle. I'm just gonna be using a small shadow brush again. Next, I'm gonna be putting some tape on my face. And this is just clear Scotch tape. I'm pretty sure everybody's heard about this, but for my eyeliner today, I feel like getting a perfect wing. So, this is what I'm gonna be doing. Now that I've got my tape faced and I look like a plastic surgery junkie, I'm gonna be going in with the So Kiss-A-Me eyeliner in the shade Black. I'm basically using this as a guideline for my liquid liner. Now, like as usual, I'm going to be using my New York Color liquid liner. I'm just going to be going over top of the liner that I did. We're going to get a perfect wing today. We'll see. Sometimes it's a perfect wing day, sometimes it's not. And I am actually almost out of this, so this isn't as pigmented as it usually would be. But you do what you gotta do. Okay, let's take this off and see how it looks. Ah, it's stuck! I'm just kidding. Okay. So this one turned out pretty good. This one didn't. So I'm gonna fix that. I want to smoke this out underneath my eye with semi-sweep. What that does is basically it just makes your eyes look bigger, and since it's Valentine's Day, or pretty much, yeah, you obviously want big popping eyes for everybody to be looking at. And if you're on a date or something, then there you go. Okay, now I'm just curling my eyelashes. I'm pretty sure that this is the Wet n Wild eyelash curler. It works just great for me. And it was like $3 or something, or $2. Now I'm going in with some mascara using the Turbo Volume Maybelline Express mascara. And I'm just going to be coating my lashes like there is no tomorrow. Now I'm taking my Smashbox Full Exposure, Smashbox Full Exposure mascara. And I'm looking at this now, and I actually want this to be a little bit more poppin', more highlighted on my lids. So I'm going to go back in again with Gilded Ganache with my Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. And I'm going to be putting that in the inner corners and in the center. And I'm actually just going to dab this with my finger because I have found that with this specific color, it gives a lot more pigment to it. Next, I'm going to put a little bit of some color onto my lips. This is Valentine's Day, and I know Josh and I are going to be kissing, obviously. So, I'm going to be using the Pacifica Power of Love Natural Lipstick. And it's in the shade Tender Heart.
Late night when you need my love, and I know in that hotline light, that could only mean one thing. And I know in that hotline light, that could only mean one thing. Ever since I left the city, you got a reputation for yourself now. Everybody knows that I feel left out. Girl, you got me down.